866-5555. Jacksonville. He's Hacker.
Talk about a fried egg. I lasted about 5 minutes out there. I said, to heck with this. I'll do this in the morning. And I don't have any inside information. The lady that did it, she got in there. She made it happen.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
And I do enjoy drinking cold beer at ballparks. So if that makes me a baseball fan, then I'm a diehard baseball fan.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Wednesday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM with Dylan Denmark. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you are with us as the middle portion of the week. We certainly have a lot to get into this evening. We got a great guest lineup. We're going to talk Jags. We're going to talk a little bracketology in the world of college basketball. A ton of different items to get into. Unfortunately, we had that situation out in Kansas City today with the Super Bowl parade and apparently shooting out there. One person deceased, up to 22, I believe now, were injured, including some children, which were defined by the police chief out there as people under the age of 17. Just awful. Awful, awful. Not going to preach to you tonight. Obviously, I wouldn't want anybody to preach to me. But when there's kids involved, that is a terrible, terrible situation. And you hate to see something like that, certainly, at a Super Bowl celebration. People were going to celebrate a world title for the Kansas City Chiefs. And obviously, all we're talking about now is what happened and why it happened and how it happened and go from there. So that's unfortunately too common right now, and it hits the sports world tonight there in Kansas City. So prayers up for all involved. Having said that, we will talk sports. This is a sports radio program, and we are glad to do it. Coming up, Dave Kluge of Football Guys. We'll do a little analytics, talk a little Jaguars, a little Trevor Lawrence. We'll also talk bracketology, Jerry Palm, CBSSports.com, a little college basketball in the 9 o'clock hour. Every night here on Hacker After Dark, we do kick it off with a big deal of the night and Dylan Denmark. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal?
What is the big deal?
No big deal. It is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
All right, so here we go with the NFL offseason. Boy, Steve Wilkes fired today in San Francisco. The defensive coordinator for the 49ers let go 3 days after the Super Bowl. Didn't see that coming. I thought the San Francisco defense was very good this year. They were obviously very good when they beat Jacksonville 34-3. They completely shut down Patrick Mahomes in the first half of the Super Bowl. Obviously, the 49er defense did not play as well in the fourth quarter and in overtime, but did not see that coming as Steve Wilkes fired this afternoon as the defensive coordinator of the San Francisco 49ers. You can tell the offseason's coming, and because all the press conferences that are happening. In fact, here in Jacksonville tomorrow, Ryan Nielsen, the brand new Jaguar defensive coordinator, will meet the media for the first time. It'll be interesting to hear from Ryan Nielsen about what he brings to the table for this Jaguar defense. In fact, tonight we are 26 days away from NFL free agency. You can start handing out franchise tags next Tuesday. You have a window from February 20th to March the 5th. We'll keep an eye on Josh Allen. That'll be that 2-week window where the Jaguars could franchise tag Josh Allen. We also have the NFL Scouting Combine 2 weeks from tomorrow, February the 29th. Prospects are on the field up in Indianapolis for the Combine, February 29th through March the 2nd. But it got me thinking when I saw this yesterday. Anthony Richardson. Remember him? Anthony Richardson has been cleared to begin throwing the ball up in Indy. He is 6 to 8 weeks ahead of schedule on his shoulder surgery. And Anthony Richardson will join the ranks with C.J. Stroud, with Trevor Lawrence, and with Will Levis in the AFC South. Remember the entire offseason last year? Month after month, we had guys on covering the league, covering the various divisions. And the thought was, boy, the AFC South is terrible. The worst division in football. And with that, it's going to be a division the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to own for the foreseeable future. Well, that did not happen, obviously. That did not materialize here in Duval County. To the credit of the Texans and the Colts, to the issues here in Jacksonville, the AFC South had 3 teams that finished over 500. The Jaguars at 9-8, the Colts at 9-8, and the Houston Texans, who won the division, at 10-7. You think about the other divisions in football, who had 3 teams 500 or better. AFC North did, Baltimore, Cleveland, and Pittsburgh, and the AFC South did. They're the only 2 divisions in the AFC. In the NFC, only one division can say that, the NFC West, with San Francisco, the Rams, and the Seahawks. So out of the 8 divisions in the National Football League, only 3 had 3 teams 500 or better, I guess, and the AFC South was one of them. And all that talk about Jacksonville running this division for the foreseeable future, well, that's over now. If anything, there's talk about C.J. Stroud and Houston running this division for a while. Keep in mind, they just had the Offensive Rookie of the Year and the Defensive Rookie of the Year in Will Anderson. And now you throw Anthony Richardson into the mix. Again, Indianapolis went 9-8 with Gardner Minshew at quarterback. We'll see what Tennessee does with Brian Callahan, their brand new head coach. They're still look like they're in the rebuilding phase. Doug Peterson is now the elder statesman of coaches in the AFC South. Think about that for a moment. You want to talk about the turnover in the National Football League. Doug Peterson, heading into 2024, is the longest tenured coach in the division, entering year 3. Shane Steichen in Indy will be entering year 2. DeMeco Ryans in Houston will be entering year 2. And, of course, Brian Callahan will be a first-year head coach with the Tennessee Titans. So the AFC South, I'm paying close attention to what Houston does, close attention to what Indianapolis does. Tennessee's got about $1 billion to spend in free agency. They're going to be like the Jaguars 2 years ago. The Titans can sign a lot of people this offseason. It'll be very interesting to see what they choose to do with their money. But that narrative all last year, from February to July, that the AFC South will belong to Jacksonville for a long time, no, sir. That did not happen, and that probably will not happen moving forward. I'm not saying Jacksonville isn't still potentially the best team in the division. I'm not saying Jacksonville potentially can't win the AFC South in 2024, but they won't be the favorite. Houston will be the favorite. And I know Ballou has talked about this week. I'll dive more into this later on tonight, probably a little bit tomorrow as well here on Hacker After Dark. And I'm actually going to ask Dave Kluge of Football Guys in less than 10 minutes about Trevor Lawrence. Yahoo Sports yesterday released MVP odds for the 2024 season. They listed 12 quarterbacks on their list for MVP odds for the 2024 season. Trevor Lawrence was not among them. I was stunned by that. I was absolutely stunned. I'll pull up the list. But look, that to me is a little bit of an overreaction. I'm not saying Trevor had a great year last year, far from it. He had a very down year, a very average year. But to say that he's not among the top 12 in the MVP odds, here's the list right here. This is from Yahoo Sports. Patrick Mahomes, number 1. Josh Allen, number 2. Joe Burrow, 3. C.J. Stroud, 4. Followed by Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, Dak Prescott, Jordan Love, Brock Purdy, Jalen Hurts, and Matthew Stafford. And as I read that list, I would put Trevor in the top 12 of NFL quarterbacks. But Denmark, who do you replace Trevor with on this list? You don't replace him over Mahomes.
None of them.
Josh Allen, no. Joe Burrow, no. C.J. Stroud, no. Although there might be an argument there. Lamar Jackson, no. Herbert? Is Trevor better than Herbert?
No. Harbaugh is going to get Herbert right.
Yeah, that's the thought, but Herbert had a down year as well. Is Trevor Lawrence better than Dak Prescott?
I mean, quarterback by quarterback, Trevor's better, but Dak will have better stats because of the way McCarthy uses them.
I would take Trevor over Jordan Love, and I would take him over Brock Purdy. Maybe I'm biased there, but I think Trevor Lawrence is a better quarterback than Brock Purdy and a better quarterback than Jordan Love.
It's close.
And then Jalen Hurts and Matt Stafford. So I guess when you really get down to it, what we thought last year, Trevor being a top 5 quarterback in the league, he might still be top 5, but he's top 5 in the AFC, I guess. Right? Actually, come to think of it, I'm not even sure if he is.
All the good quarterbacks are in the AFC.
Right. Mahomes, Allen, Jackson, Burrow. Good
Herbert.
Herbert. You take him over Tua?
No, Tua's not in that class.
All right, so you take Trevor over Tua?
Yeah, that's not a question.
Deshaun Watson?
Yeah, Deshaun Watson hasn't shown that he can play a whole season.
It's interesting, though. It's interesting. Trevor's got a lot to prove in year 4. There's a ton for Trevor Lawrence to prove in year 4. Will he be doing that with a brand new contract, or will the Jaguars take a wait-and-see approach? Remember, Burrow got paid after year 3. Herbert got paid after year 3. Will Trevor get paid after year 3? And I'll talk about it all offseason long. Trevor Lawrence versus C.J. Stroud. I think that's going to be fascinating, and I would almost guarantee you that's going to be a primetime game on Thursday, Sunday, or Monday night. Jacksonville at Houston or Houston at Jacksonville, Stroud versus Lawrence will probably be in prime time next year. But who is the best quarterback in the AFC South? As it stands right now on Valentine's Day, as painful as it is for us to admit here in Jacksonville, it probably is C.J. Stroud. But Trevor has a chance to redeem himself, no question about it, in year 4, which is going to be an awfully big year for him in his career moving forward. 641-1010 on the phone line and on the text line, designed by Lifetime Enclosures. We're talking sports on a Valentine's Day evening here on Hacker After Dark. Coming up next, Dave Kluge of Football Guys. They're all about fantasy football. They're all about analytics. We're going to talk Calvin Ridley. We're going to talk Evan Ingram. We're going to talk Trevor Lawrence, Josh Allen, among many other Jaguar topics, and we're going to do it next. Hacker After Dark on a Wednesday night in Jacksonville, Florida, and we're glad you're with us. It's 1010XL, and it's 92.5 FM.
Joe C.
We all know this man, and he drinks beer.
Matt Hayes.
I once had my driver's license suspended.
Mia O'Brien.
American women are seldom so straightforward.
And Leon Searcy.
Butt cheeks are tight.
XL Prime Time. Noon to 3 on 1010XL.
Visionaries, builders, and doers, are you ready to change the world? Miller Electric is your opportunity to shape the future. Miller Electric is leading the charge in electric vehicle technology with our state-of-the-art EV Innovation Design Center. We're working to create a sustainable future. We're also the proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, powering their performance at the brand new Miller Electric Center. Miller Electric, we provide competitive pay, unbeatable benefits. Apply today. MillerCareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
Hi, I'm Paris Owens representing the Morris Children's Health, Jacksonville. We are so grateful to the players for helping us create the healthiest generation of children. See you at the Kids Zone in 27 days at the Players Championship.
Dave Binion here with my son Ammon, who is the air duct cleaning manager at Zero Res. So Ammon, you may notice a little rattle in my voice and some puffiness in my eyes. That's because allergy season is coming on. Can Zero Res help?
Yes, your health has a lot to do with the air you breathe. A clean and healthy home begins with clean air. At Zero Res, we can help clean the air in your home by cleaning your air ducts, cleaning the coils in your HVAC units, and fogging the system with a powerful antimicrobial that helps kill and control the growth of microorganisms in your air. We also have options for maintaining your clean air with our excellent inline air purifier and UV lights that will help keep your system clean and healthy. At Zero Res, we are more than just air duct cleaners. We're a clean air specialist.
So, what deals do you have this month?
Right now, get $100 off your air duct cleaning, and while we're at it, we'll give you $50 off your dryer vent cleaning.
Zero Res.
Spelled forward or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
CEROREC. Zero Res.
If you have had problems selling your home or haven't even bothered selling because of the problems that you would expect, here's a promise for you. Chad and Sandy of chadandsandy.com guarantee your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. Simple as that, right? So if maybe you are worried about selling for less money, or maybe you want maximum equity from your home but not sure how, they have the answers, the solutions, the promises to take care of all that. Take it from Debbie in Orange Park. I was going through a divorce and needed to be close to family quickly. I was going to sell my home to an instant offer investor for $375, but I heard about Chad and Sandy on the radio and decided to call. Thank goodness. Chad and Sandy got me $45,000 more in just 3 days. Call the only agents we're trusting and recommending. Call Chad and Sandy at chadandsandy.com. The number is 904-414-6200, or you can go to chadandsandy.com. That's chadandsandy.com.
This Date in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On February 14th, 1971, in the 13th Daytona 500, Richard Petty wins his third Great American Race.
We don't have too many cold nights on the First Coast, but when the temperature drops, you want to hit the heat button and warm up. That's where Florida Home comes in. They're the AC experts in Jacksonville, and the importance of keeping your heating system in good working order is really important. If it stops working when it gets cooler, Florida Home will leap into action and provide you with the best solution. Heater and heat pump repair service and new system installation. They do it all. Just call Florida Home AC at 777-4300, the official heating and AC partner of the Jaguars.
Get ready for the Players' Championship, March 12th through 17th at TPC Sawgrass. Don't miss your chance to watch the PGA Tour's best compete to etch their name in history while enjoying a vibrant social scene. From local bites to the latest merchandise available in the PGA Tour fan shop, the Players offers the ultimate experience for everyone to enjoy. Secure your spot today. Tickets are on sale now at theplayers.com.
Exciting news from Leonard Truck Accessories in Jacksonville on Blanding Boulevard. Stocking brands like Real Truck, UWS, WeatherGuard, Carry-On Trailers, and more. The best deals with the best prices only at Leonard Truck Accessories on Blanding Boulevard. Leonard, your truck, your style.
This is Hayes Carlion for QC Kinetics. Are you sick and tired of achy joints? Look, you need to call QC Kinetics today. They've got 2 great locations, Mandarin and Ponte Vedra Beach. Give them a call for a free consultation at 904-274-5522. That's 904-274-5522. Look, the state of healthcare is always changing. It's evolving, and old ideas like steroids and surgery, they're no longer your only options. Regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics is transforming lives with innovative, non-surgical, drug-free treatments that deliver lasting results. Knee pain, back pain, shoulder pain, arthritis, injury. Don't let this pain keep you from living your best life. QC Kinetics advanced state-of-the-art treatments harness and direct your body's natural ability to restore and repair damaged joint tissue. Give them a call today, QC Kinetics, 904-274-5522.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. The NFL offseason officially underway now that the Kansas City Chiefs have hoisted another Lombardi trophy. Everybody is back to 0-0. And teams now have 6 months, much like they did a year ago, to figure out how on earth they are going to stop Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and the Kansas City Chiefs. With that, Dave Kluge of Football Guys, always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Dave, how you doing?
Doing good. And, you say having to stop Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. I think the scary thing is the Chiefs are in a prime position to add a good wide receiver in a deep class this year. So I think it's going to be a lot more than just Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce next year. The AFC is certainly looking pretty scary to anybody who's not a Kansas City Chiefs fan.
Yeah, the AFC is absolutely loaded, and we thought Jacksonville right here in Duval County was going to be in that conversation. And Dave, 12 weeks in, they were 8-3, right? I think for like 3 hours they were the number one seed in the AFC, and then they only become the 6th team since the turn of the century, the 6th team since the year 2000 to start 8-3 and to flat out miss the playoffs, losing 5 out of 6, and quite frankly, not looking very good in the process. What did you make of what we refer to as the collapse here in Jacksonville?
But, it wasn't just Jacksonville. It seemed like nobody wanted to win the AFC South this year. I mean, any team towards the end of the season just needed to win a game, and it seemed like nobody can do it. I don't want to read into it too much. I know it's tough not to be overreactive and see a team just kind of unwind at the end of the season like that and think that it's all doom and gloom going forward. But I think there were some promising things to take away from the season despite the win-loss record on the back half. I think Trevor Lawrence really is the guy, and I don't know how a lot of fans in Jacksonville are feeling right now. Wins do kind of control everything, and when a quarterback's not winning, people start to panic a little bit. But there was a lot that I saw from his game, some steps forward that he took last year that I got pretty excited about. He looks like one of the best deep ball players out there, and he was also learning to throw better across the middle of the field. He was kind of hitting every level in the passing game. So, there's definitely some concern if you're an AFC South fan, seeing what the Texans did, taking a step forward with C.J. Stroud, and then there's obviously concern about what Will Levis could be and Anthony Richardson could be as well. It looked like it was just going to be the Jaguars division for the next 5-10 years is suddenly a little bit tighter, but I think the Jaguars still do have a promising future as long as they've got Trevor Lawrence.
Dave Kluge of Football Guys. Now, Dave, you guys at Football Guys are fantasy football, your analytics, you're a lot of different things. And I'm curious, when you're very positive on Trevor, because there's some concern here in Jacksonville. Now, I know he played the last 6 weeks hurt. In fact, the only game they won was when Trevor sat out. And, they played basically a high school team, let's be honest, in Carolina. But Trevor played through a concussion or the concussion protocol, played through a shoulder, a knee, an ankle. He was banged up. But you're still very positive on Trevor, it sounds.
I am, yeah. And I think, like I said, the biggest thing that we saw was him take a step forward as a deep ball passer. He was one of the most accurate deep ball passers in the NFL last year. The one thing that concerns me, and this isn't something we saw a lot of in his college, Dave, are the danger plays, the interceptable passes, the turnover-worthy plays, whatever you want to call them. He was making some head-scratching decisions, throwing some balls that he shouldn't. The good thing is that's something that's coachable. That's something that hopefully Doug Peterson can help him with that, and he doesn't make those mistakes in the future. Overall, though, he does have what you want to see from an NFL quarterback. He's got the ability to make passes at every level of the field. He's got the rushing upside that you want to see in a modern-day quarterback, and those turnover-worthy plays that we talk about are something that you can easily coach out of a young quarterback's game.
Dave, Calvin Ridley is set to become a free agent on Monday, March the 11th. We'll see if that actually happens or not. I think it's trending towards happening. How vital is it for Jacksonville to bring him back, or do you think Jacksonville should move on from Calvin Ridley?
Yeah, I think they've got to move on, unfortunately. Calvin Ridley was a guy that we saw a really exciting year from when Julio Jones left Atlanta. And I think that a lot of people were hoping that he would just, after 2 years off, be able to replicate that, and it certainly wasn't the case. Now, overall, he was able to have some big plays, and he scored some touchdowns, and that can kind of cloud the judgment a little bit when looking at his overall season. But he flat out wasn't that good. He struggled to separate. There wasn't a lot of consistency in his game. I think that at this point in his career, going into his age 30 season, he's a guy that you'd look at as, kind of a field stretcher, maybe a number 2, number 3 guy on a team. But looking at what he is, they'd have to pay to bring him back next year. He's going to want to get paid a lot more than that. So I think it's better for Jacksonville to maybe look at some younger options out there. And this isn't a really deep free agency class. We just heard T. Higgins is likely getting franchise tagged. We pretty much got Marquise Brown as the only guy that, is on the right side of the age curve that's going to be available. And I don't know if he really fits with what Jacksonville is trying to do. So I think Jacksonville needs to look at the draft here. Christian Kirk is great, but he's not a young spry guy anymore either. So I think what they need to do is draft that guy that can be the long-term number one. I've said it a few times now on this show. This is a really deep class for wide receivers, and they can get somebody at pick 17. They can get somebody at 48. There's a lot of good wide receivers that they can draft this year that would become immediate starters, and I think that's where they should be looking rather than free agency or a trade or bringing back Calvin Ridley.
Dave Kluge of Football Guys. An offense, and we talked about this, Dave, at the beginning of the year. You can have Trevor and Etienne and Ridley and Kirk and Jones and Ingram, and that all looks great, right? But if you don't have an offensive line, it doesn't matter. And the Jaguar offensive line was awful. I mean, let's just be honest. It was awful. They probably need 2, maybe 3 new starters on that O-line. Brandon Sheriff, God love him, but it's getting up there in age. Luke Fortner, I really like Luke Fortner. I think he deserves to be on the roster, but I don't think he should be the starting center next year. I don't know what they're going to do about Ezra Cleveland. Cam Robinson's owed a lot of money. Are they going to pay that? You could argue Anton Harrison, the rookie, was the best offensive lineman consistency-wise they had all year. And despite the struggles on the O-line, Etienne still was very good. And I just wonder what Travis Etienne could become if he had even an average offensive line in front of him.
I think Travis Etienne is one of the best running backs in the league. And, something that we saw a lot of in college was his pass catching ability, kind of being that check down guy for Trevor Lawrence. We've seen that translate quickly into the pros. There were some concerns about him coming off of that foot injury early in his NFL career and how he'd be able to bounce back, but he's looked better every single year since. He had that one stretch where I think he had 6 touchdowns in 3 games or something, where he went on a heater in the middle of the season. And that's something that we could see him do consistently. He is that good of a running back. He's got the long speed. I think the one thing he could wait on a little bit is his patience behind the line. And that's tough. You talk about being patient. Of course, that's a lot easier when you have the patience and your O-line is making holes for you. He doesn't really get that ability, so we see him when he does take these passes or these carries between the tackles, just kind of hit it with a full head of steam, even if nothing's there. If they could shore up that offensive line a little bit, I'd like to see what he can do as a more patient runner, because he's got the burst and he's got the long speed. We saw a lot of big plays from him this year. I think pure talent-wise, Travis Etienne's a top 5 running back in the league, and the good news is he's still really young, so he's a guy that the Jags can hopefully lean on for the next 3 to 5 years.
Dave, as we begin to wrap up, a couple of more. For all the thoughts and problems the Jaguars had in the collapse down the year, the one thing that they did do well was get the ball to Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram had one of the best years of any tight end in NFL history. Ironically, he didn't have 1,000 yards because he had 114 catches. They might need to work on that. But your thoughts on Evan Ingram and clearly establishing himself this year as one of the best tight ends in the NFL?
Well, I thought Evan Ingram was a steal when you guys picked him up in free agency a couple of years ago. It seems like the Giants, New York, Chicago, some of these areas are really tough to play in because of the media and the fan bases. And I feel like everybody in New York just turned on Evan Ingram, despite a 1,000-yard rookie season, which is nearly impossible for a rookie tight end to do. So the fact that Jacksonville was kind of able to scoop him up for cheap right when he was kind of hitting the peak of his career at age 28, I thought that was a really savvy move. I talked about how much I like that on Twitter, and I wrote articles about it. But I think a lot of people had forgotten how talented Evan Ingram is. He is becoming that safety valve now. Like you said, couldn't hit 1,000 yards, but over 100 catches. He is just always open in the flat. He's that guy that Trevor Lawrence can lean on. And with tight ends, we see it all the time where these guys get off to slow starts and then they kind of hit the peak of their career at age 28, 29, 30, 31. So here he is, not even 30 years old yet. I think Evan Ingram, it is imperative that they try to sign him to a contract because he's still got a few years in the tank where he can continue to be that safety valve, that 100-plus reception guy for Trevor Lawrence.
You look around the AFC South, and you mentioned C.J. Stroud, right? Anthony Richardson's going to come back. We know about Will Levis and Tennessee. The big question down here, how much money do you give Josh Allen? Because he's going to be franchised, I think, worst case scenario. Best case is they re-sign him in the next couple of weeks. But Josh Allen's imperative, right? With all these young quarterbacks, you have to have one of the premier edge rushers in the league stick around here in Duval County.
Yeah, these guys don't hit free agency. You just don't see that happen. They're going to bring Josh Allen back, whether it's a franchise tag or a long-term deal. They have to. You mentioned it. There are 3 other good quarterbacks in the AFC South. Well, let's say 2.5. I guess the jury's still out on Will Levis, right? But Anthony Richardson looks good. C.J. Stroud looks fantastic. They absolutely need to bring Josh Allen back in some capacity. I rarely do we see these guys hit free agency. I'd expect them to work out some sort of 4 or 5 year deal so he's there long term.
Dave Kluge of Football Guys. You mentioned C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson. Did you see enough of Anthony Richardson last year? What did he play, 3 or 4 games? We obviously very familiar with him from his days at Florida there with the Gators. But Richardson, he looked good early, but now you throw him back in the mix with Stroud, with Lawrence. We'll see what Levis can do in Nashville. Potentially, Dave, the AFC South could be pretty good.
Yeah, and I said that at the top of the show that we were doing here. The AFC South, it looked like it was going to be the Jags for the next 5-10 years, and all of a sudden it got really tight in a single year with these 3 young quarterbacks all kind of stepping into their respective roles. I do think Anthony Richardson is good, and just keep it as simple as possible. He's what you want to see in a modern day NFL. We're seeing this with Josh Allen up in Buffalo. We're seeing it with Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia. You don't have to be the best passer in the world. That rushing upside is just going to change the way the defenses have to play against you and makes the throws downfield even easier. So I think that Anthony Richardson does have some flaws in his game, but I think he's a much better passer than people realize. And like you said, if you're familiar with his game from Florida, you saw that all over his tape. It wasn't just a rushing guy. He's not a Malik Willis. He's not a Tim Tebow. This guy actually can throw the ball as well. So we saw it in a very, very small taste, but rushing upside was absolutely elite. He was making money throws all season long in the short season that he played. I think the biggest concern is that he suffered a serious injury on that throwing arm. And this isn't just a small, standard procedure that he's going to have surgery and come back to 100%. I think the only concern with Anthony Richardson is that he doesn't recover 100%. But if he bounces back from this shoulder injury, doesn't change the mechanics of his throw or anything like that, I think Anthony Richardson is a guy that's going to be a problem for the AFC South.
We couldn't stand Mike Vrabel here in Jacksonville, and fitting enough that he goes out with knocking the Jaguars out of the playoffs. I was pretty surprised that Tennessee decided to part ways with him. What did you make of the – yeah, exactly. What did you make of the Brian Callahan hire up there?
It seemed like a lot of people expected that to happen. I don't know too much about Brian Callahan, to be honest. I think that it looks a lot of offensive coordinators can look good with the crew that he had there. I didn't see a lot of creativity from his game or anything like that, so I'm a little bit I don't want to say concerned, but it does seem like they downgraded, right? Going from Vrabel to Brian Callahan. I don't really I've talked about it a lot on my show. I don't really know what to make of what Tennessee is doing here. They're obviously looking to build a more pass-happy offense, I'd imagine. But I think that they had a good thing in Vrabel and was kind of shocked to see them let him walk.
Dave Kluge of Football Guys. Dave, final thought. I've seen you on social media. One of the big topics you've wrote about, you've discussed about a lot, is the idea that Caleb Williams is going to go number 1 to Chicago. What happens to Justin Fields, that whole dynamic. What do you think ultimately happens in the next 2.5 months with the Bears at the quarterback position?
That's $1 million question, and we're going to be speculating about that a lot over the coming months here. I think the Bears just simply have to draft Caleb Williams, and I'm a huge Justin Fields fan. For anyone listening that doesn't know, I was born and raised in Chicago, so my allegiance is with the Bears, and I was thrilled when they drafted Justin Fields. He's shown so much promise through his short career with the game-breaking plays, the big passes, the rushing, all that sort of stuff. But I think that after 3 years, we kind of know what Justin Fields is at this point. He's probably a middle of the pack, top 12 to top 20 quarterback. I don't know if he's the type of guy that can elevate the talent around him the way a guy like Caleb Williams can. Now, of course, there's risk that Caleb Williams is a bust. It happens. We've seen Jamarcus Russell. We've seen Tim Couch. We've seen these guys go number 1 and not pan out. But typically when you draft a guy number 1 overall, you're getting a guy who's going to throw for 4,000 yards, a guy who's going to throw for 30-plus touchdowns, a guy who's going to win a playoff game, a guy who's going to do the things you want to see from a franchise quarterback. And I think the Bears just have to make that decision to move on, as tough as it is emotionally for a lot of the fans who have rallied behind Justin Fields. So I expect to see them trade Caleb Williams. And unfortunately, part of that is also – draft Caleb Williams. And unfortunately, a part of that is trading away Justin Fields. Justin Fields has been a leader. He's somebody that the players and the media and the fans have rallied behind. And it's really tough to have a personality like that so many people love in the locker room with a rookie quarterback. So as great as it sounds in theory to maybe trot Justin Fields out for another year and have Caleb Williams sit on the bench, I think you run the risk of splitting the locker room there. So there's reports that Justin Fields could be going for a first-round pick, maybe a day 2 pick. We'll see, but I think that they just need to draft Caleb Williams and then take the best available offer they can get for Justin Fields.
Should be an interesting offseason in Chicago. No question about that. Dave Kluge of Football Guys. Tell us about Football Guys and where people can find you.
Yeah, I want to shout out for anybody that's diving into rookie analysis. Our team just put together a rookie draft guide with over 100 rookie scouting portfolios on there. We talk about the best scheme fits. We talk about, where we expect them to be drafted, and we go deep. We've got over 60 wide receivers, over 40 running backs, over 100 rookies right now. You can get that at footballguys.com/rookie guide. That's the main thing I want to plug right now. I didn't even have any part in that. We've got some other guys on our staff that have been working hard and diligently at that, but we just rolled it out a couple of days ago. I spent a 2.5-hour flight the other day going through it and only got about a quarter of the way through. It is just jam-packed with information on this incoming rookie class.
Oh, we absolutely love it. Dave Kluge of Football Guys. Dave, first time you and I have spoken in a while. Won't be the last. Really enjoyed the conversation. Let's do it again, maybe around free agency, and let's see where the Jaguars stand at that point. I appreciate you, my friend.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you having me on, Ryan.
There you go, Dave Kluge of Football Guys here with us on Hacker After Dark, and it's interesting. He's based close to Chicago, so he's been doing a lot on Caleb Williams versus Justin Fields. I thought they were going to retain Justin Fields. Remember, they have the number 1 pick because of the Carolina trade with Bryce Young last year, but it does appear the more people you talk to that Chicago may indeed draft Caleb Williams and may indeed trade Justin Fields, which is a pretty crazy notion to think about as recently as a month or two ago, but that seems to be at least the direction the rumors are taking us here in the middle part of February. We will certainly have to wait and see. Of course, the Jaguars pick 17th in the NFL draft. It's that time. The Combine, they're on the field 2 weeks from tomorrow in Indianapolis for the Scouting Combine. Around here, that means our guys at the Draft Network. The Draft Network does a terrific job, and Damian Parson is a part of the Draft Network. Let's talk about the 2024 draft class. But more so than that, I want to bring it back to Jacksonville. I want to talk Anton Harrison, Britton Strange, Tank Bigsby, a little Devin Lloyd, a little, obviously, Trayvon Walker. Let's talk about the young nucleus here in Jacksonville moving forward and what the Jaguars need in rounds 1 and 2 of the NFL draft. Damian Parson of the Draft Network is next. Hacker After Dark on a Wednesday night here in Jacksonville. It's 1010XL and it's 92.5 FM.
Of baseball radio?
1976 called it wants its hairstyle back.
Decide for yourself. Watch 1010XL on YouTube. Search 1010XL video, all one word, to see shows, podcasts, and more.
Hey, Hicken here. I couldn't be any happier than to join the George Moore Chevrolet family. When I say family, I mean it. Visit their beautiful showroom today off Atlantic Boulevard. Find out exactly what I'm talking about. No pressure, just friendly help. And whether you want a car, a truck, SUV, electric, pre-owned, you name it, George Moore Chevrolet has it. And if you can't make it over to Atlantic Boulevard, no problem. MooreChevy.com is easy to navigate as any site you will try. It's never been more easy to use. George Moore Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Has your sewer line been hydrojetted? Heavy buildup clogs sewer lines, causing drains at your home or business to back up or become slow-moving. Call Duck Rooter for hydrojetting of your main sewer line. Duck Rooter's special hydrojetting machine uses a blast of water at very high pressure to remove hard, stubborn blockages. Call now to book 904-862-6769. Serving commercial and residential, your fully insured and certified plumber. DuckDuckRooter.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Brakes? We can save you 15% on that. We have OE quality Duralast brake pads and rotors in stock, ready for pickup or delivery. We also have calipers, brake fluid, tools, and anything else you'll need to do the job right. When you get Duralast pads and rotors together, you'll save 15%. It's just part of what makes us America's #1 brakes destination.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Attention veterans, if you have a VA loan, you need to listen to this, especially if your current rate is higher than 6.5%. Now is the time to take advantage of the federal government's VA Streamlined Refinance Program. With my friends at Loan Pronto, you can. Go to loanpronto.com. Prosser here, and Loan Pronto has fixed rate APRs in the 5s. You can drop your rate now. Lower your payment with no income documentation and no appraisal. Do it at loanpronto.com. Their all-digital platform makes it easy. They can even cover your closing costs. If you need cash now, Loan Pronto can get you up to 100% of your home value. You can pay off all your credit cards or other debt and save as much as $1,000 a month. Call Loan Pronto now at 904-999-1508 or get a 30-second rate quote at loanpronto.com. Ask about streamlined VA loans, no income doc, and no appraisal. Loan Pronto, 999-1508 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
When an all-pro lineman serves up sausage and stories, it's gotta be Lunch with Leon.
When you're an NFL player, you do a lot of dumb things.
Brought to you by the Sausage Dudes. Sausage with a purpose. Weekdays on 1010XL.
My name is Brian. I've lost 42 pounds on Awaken 180. I had a triple bypass in 2018. I had a hip replacement 2.5 years ago. My focus was just getting healthy and being consistent. With this plan, once you establish yourself, if I decide to cheat, I can cheat. I'm burning enough calories a day. I don't have any fear. You know, it's not really a diet. It's a lifestyle change. It changed my perspective on how to eat better and just kind of control yourself. And I hope what this does, I hope it enables somebody in their 60s that has poor health and no hope, that gives them hope. That's my goal.
Wow. Thank you so much, Brian. Hey, this is Matt Hayes, and Brian sharing his Awaken 180 story is the exact reason I continue to share my story with all of you. There's hope, there's a plan, and you will succeed with Awaken 180. Online at awaken180weightloss.com or call 844-346-1800. Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Have you been dreaming of enhancing your living space with top-quality custom windows and doors? Now is the perfect time to make that dream a reality with Renewal by Andersen. Right now, buy 4 windows or patio doors and get the 5th free. Plus, no money down, no payments, and no interest for 18 months. This offer expires February 29th and restrictions apply. Renewal by Andersen, proud to be the official window and door replacement partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit rbafla.com.
License number CGC 1527613.
More than 60 #1 hits. The king of country music. Código 1530 Tequila presents George Strait. One night only. Saturday, May 11th at Everbank Stadium. George Strait. With 8-time Grammy winner Chris Stapleton. A night filled with mega hits. And special guest, Little Big Town. Saturday, May 11th at Everbank Stadium. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. George Strait with Chris Stapleton and Little Big Town. Together live. Brought to you by Messina Touring Group.
Get ready for an extraordinary weekend at 1-to-1 Financial Ballpark. It's the inaugural Jacksonville College Baseball Classic, February 23rd to the 25th. It's Division I baseball at its best. Witness intense competition as Auburn, University of Iowa, University of Virginia, and Wichita State battle it out in a round-robin tournament format. It's a weekend of baseball you won't want to miss. To get your tickets and more information, visit jaxcbc.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, we are glad you are with us. The NFL offseason has officially begun after Kansas City wins another Super Bowl. Boy, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Travis Kelce, absolutely unstoppable. And for teams like Jacksonville, we have 6 months to figure out how to stop them prior to the 2024 season. Franchise tags will come out in a couple of weeks. Free agency about a month away. And then, of course, the NFL draft is not that far down the road. With all that being said, let me welcome in Damian Parson. He is with the Draft Network. He hosts the Locked On NFL Draft podcast. We'll tell you all about that as well. Damian, always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Damian, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Ryan. Just enjoying. It's draft season, so it's that time where I get to really have all the fun, but just enjoying it, man.
Yeah, it's your time of year, man. There's no question about that. Briefly, I want to get into the Jags and certainly this draft class coming up with you, but Kansas City, darn near unstoppable, a third Super Bowl for Patrick Mahomes. Damian, what's your takeaway from what the Chiefs accomplished this year?
Oh man, it was a great season for them, right? Where the level of difficulty, the degree of difficulty had kind of ratcheted up. It increased this season because of the fact that with no Tyreek Hill, with no true wide receiver one coming into the season, you were relying heavily on a older version of Travis Kelce, and then turns out to be rookie Rashee Rice. And I think offensively they went through their kind of bumps and bruises at times, and it wasn't always pretty. But when you have a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, who you can see when that shift takes place in the middle of a game, like we saw last night on one or two of those runs late in that game, where you just saw the look on his face and the look in his eyes, like we're not about to lose this. And at worst, we're going into overtime. So like what they were able to do with Mahomes, head coach Andy Reid, man, it was an outstanding season for them, back-to-back champions. It's such an incredible feat, especially with the roster that they have, especially on the offensive side of the ball.
I think the concerning thing, Damian, for people like us here in Jacksonville is they looked vulnerable at times this year. This wasn't exactly a great Kansas City Chief team. Go back to Christmas. There was even thought then when the Raiders beat them, could they win the division? Could they hold on to the West? But my gracious, man, when they turned it on in the postseason, there was no stopping them. I know a lot will transpire this offseason, but clearly they're going to be the overwhelming favorites heading into 2024.
100%. And I think, you look at teams like the Baltimore Ravens and stuff like that, teams that really kind of pushed them to their brink. Baltimore beat themselves, and with turnovers, poor play calling, things of that nature. And if you give Mahomes and the Chiefs an opportunity, right, you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile, and they're going to take every bit of what you give them and plus that. So they're absolutely going to come into the season, especially depends on what they do free agent wise and NFL draft. Chris Jones is going to be a free agent, their star defensive player on the interior defensive line. So you can't lose him. You don't want to, at least. I think L'Jarius Sneed is also a guy that's up for a deal. So Brett Veach has some working to do in terms of contracts and everything. And then, of course, trying to retool this offense so that, Pat Mahomes has a little bit of an easier 2024 than he did in 2023.
Damian Parson of the Draft Network. He's also the host of the Locked On NFL Draft podcast. We'll tell you all about that in just a moment. All right, Damian, I want to talk about this year's draft class. Before we get there, let's spend a moment on some guys here in Jacksonville. The collapse at the end of the year was terrible. They start 8-3. They lose 5 out of 6. They miss the playoffs. I believe they are the 6th team, Jacksonville is, that started 8-3 to miss the playoffs since the turn of the century. But amid the collapse, which was awful, one of the things that didn't get talked about enough, at least to me, was Trayvon Walker, man. I thought even though the losses were piling up, Damian, towards the end of the year, I thought Trayvon Walker started showing a little bit.
Oh, 100%. And I was happy to see it. He, of course, when they took him number 1 overall over Aiden Hutchinson, everyone was shocked and, a lot of different emotions, and to where, especially when Aiden started his career off, was such a fiery start and everything. And, you knew that Trayvon was always going to be compared to that guy. And to see him step up and start to make those necessary developmental moves this season was outstanding. And it was always a guy that, scouting Georgia, who's in my region with the Draft Network when I, for college scouting, Georgia, you look at their defensive linemen, a lot of these guys don't come out very technically refined, right? I think the only one that really came out like that was Jalen Carter with their hand usage and deconstructing blocks, reducing hitting surface, stuff like that. And where the other guys are just told to go out there and be a big physical athlete, be bigger, stronger, faster than the next guy. And that's what they did. So it took a little bit for Trayvon. But I think, we're seeing the arrow point upward for him, where he gives you inside-outside rush capability. If this was a team that wanted to add another, I would say, I like to call it DPR, designated pass rusher, a fastball of sorts through the draft, or even in free agency, the guy that comes on the field for third downs only and kick Trayvon Walker inside as like a 3-tech, I think that would do wonders for him as well, because he's just so versatile, so athletic, so strong, with great arm length and a great body type. Man, you can do a lot of different things with him. So just, you want to just see that, you want to see that continued growth and just consistency going forward. But I'm excited for what the future holds for Trayvon Walker.
Yeah, I agree. Trayvon Walker from 3.5 sacks his rookie year to 10 sacks in year 2. Arrow pointing up on him. The guy drafted with him in the first round in 2022, Devin Lloyd, Damian. I'm not sure if the arrow is pointing up there yet. Dare I say maybe disappointing the first 2 years in for Devin Lloyd? What's your thought on him moving forward?
Man, I think this is a guy that, for me, the questions I always had was kind of processing information, and then, of course, pass coverage. It was always kind of things I wondered with him, and I haven't seen any evidence that those things have really taken a step with him. And it's just kind of been unfortunate. He's, a good player, good prospect coming in, had the tools that you want at the linebacker position. But if he can't diagnose quick enough, I never felt like he was going to be great taking on, blocks from climbing offensive linemen. So you're talking about possibly, trying to keep him a little bit on the outside of the box where he can kind of see ball, get ball. You might have to just kind of reduce the assignment for him. And a lot of times that works for linebackers, but it's not been great the first 2 years. And you just hope that this offseason, that he can kind of, find, hit the, whether it's just him, him himself, just studying more or just working out and getting that confidence within himself to know, hey, I'm a good player. I have everything it takes. I just got to go put it out on the field.
Couple of more for Damian Parson of the Draft Network. He's also the host of the Locked On NFL Draft podcast. Last year, Damian, the Jaguars at number 27. You really don't know what to expect from number 27. It's late in the first round. They took a kid, Anton Harrison, out of Oklahoma. I didn't know much about him at the time, but I think pretty quickly I discovered they might have found one there. I'm not sure how many offensive tackles had a better rookie year in 2023 than Anton Harrison. What was your takeaway from him?
I loved Anton, especially as a prospect coming out of Oklahoma. Athletic, strong, good build and frame, tough, gritty. He brought all of those things. I thought he had good hand technique, hand carriage wasn't too low and too wide. That, I always compare offensive line, defensive line battles like boxing. If your hands are not up, man, you're always subject to a knockout blow from the right boxer. And it's the same thing. I always felt like he protected himself well and was always able to kind of refit, relatch his hands. Just a good player overall. I was impressed with him, and I was excited for it because he was a guy I really liked when I really studied his tape later in the process of the 2023 NFL Draft. I was really excited to see the type of model of tackle that he brought into the draft. And I was like, okay, this is a guy, get him in there. I'm starting him probably right away. I'm going to let him go ahead and get that feel for the game, get the speed of the game down, because I think this is a guy that could be a high-level starting right tackle for 7 to 10 years in the NFL.
We don't know what they're going to do yet with Cam Robinson. Cam Robinson's owed a lot of money. They could potentially save a lot of money if they cut him in the next couple of weeks. Assuming that's the route they go, again, we don't know that, but assuming that's the route they go, there's a conversation down here, Damian, about moving Anton Harrison potentially to left tackle. What would your thoughts be on that?
I think he's athletically gifted enough to do it. I always say err on the side of caution with that, mainly because it takes some time because it's of the physical ability and the muscle memory to go from setting everything with your right foot back, right, and opening that right hip and that right gait to now you got to do it from the left side. And especially after the season he had, it's just like, man, like that would be kind of a tough call. But if you're going to do it, I think you need to make that decision quick and early. The reason why, so that you already let him know, hey, we're going to have you playing left tackle this year, big fella. And if you go ahead and let him know early in the process, because a lot of these guys have their own personal offensive line coaches, then a lot of them do go to Duke Manyweather's O-line masterminds camp and everything. So you want him to get the ball rolling. You want to give him that head start. Like, hey, go ahead and start getting yourself prepared physically to play left tackle. And if so, then that gives him that time to really get his body down, get that comfort, right? You know what I mean? It's like telling a boxer to switch from right-handed to left. And it's like, I've never really boxed southpaw. It was like southpaw. So it's like, well, we're gonna give you a head start, give you some time before your next battle, so you can go ahead and get used to it. I think he physically can do it, but if you're gonna make that decision, make it quick so he can go ahead and get prepared.
Yeah, I agree. Again, we'll probably have some clarity on Cam Robinson here locally within the next couple of weeks. Final moments, Damian Parson, the Draft Network. You also hear him on the Locked On NFL Draft podcast. It's a good thing Anton Harrison was good last year, Damian, because good grief, Brenton Strange, Tank Bigsby, Ventrell Miller got hurt in the preseason. The Jaguars just did not get a lot out of their other draft picks that were drafted reasonably high. Is it time to hit the panic button for Strange and Bigsby, or is it still too early?
No, still too early. I think the offensive line, you continue to improve that and get, especially with Bigsby, he's a downhill physical runner who has really good footwork to be able to work to the outside. I think the speed of the game, letting the game slow down for him, getting those touches is going to be big for him, especially with the running back position. The more touches you get, the quicker the game will slow down for you. And I think once the game slows down for Tank, I think he's going to be a good complement to Travis Etienne because he's going to bring more of that between the tackles run style that Etienne doesn't bring. He's more of the home run hitter, space player where, when you have Tank, you can absolutely run power, gap, counters, but also you can run him on the outside as well because this is a kind of a 4-4, 4-5 type of athlete. And I think with Brenton Strange, he was always raw to me as a tight end, but you love the athletic tools and the athletic ability and the size, the speed, the catch radius. You love those things. Now it's all about getting him in terms of route tempo, coverage and leveraging with defensive coverages to identify that as a tight end. If you're in line or if you're detached into the slot, you want to be able to dictate and diagnose quickly. All right, is this zone? Where's this guy dropping? Is he curler flats? Is he hook zone? Is he middle of the field defender? Where is he going? And then find those soft spots because a guy with his size, athleticism, if you're facing zone, you want to be able to make yourself available for your quarterback as quickly as possible. So then you can allow your natural athleticism to kind of take over after the catch. I think it's early for both of those guys. I'm excited to see what they look like year two in this Doug Peterson-led offense.
Yeah, the hope is they'll get considerably better, no question about it. Damian, as we wrap up the 24 draft class, and we'll hopefully have you on maybe post-combine, certainly before the draft again a couple of times to really break down and dissect it. But to me, and I'm curious your thoughts, depending on what happens in free agency, of course, because this all could change in a month, the Jaguars need some big uglies, man. I need some beef on the interior offensive line and the interior defensive line. The Jaguars were getting pushed around towards the end of the year. I mean, is that the way you see it? Give me some guys on the line of scrimmage here in Jacksonville.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, the trenches, the phrase is, and it's the old mantra, games are won or lost in the trenches. And I think that was the big part of them. Similar to what we talked about with Tank, I don't think the team, the front line on offense or defense was just physical enough. So I think on the interior offensive line especially, When you think about Jackson Powers Johnson from Oregon, who plays center, but down in Mobile at the Senior Bowl, he took some snaps at guard in 101s. This is an athletic mover. He's physical. He's strong. He plays with a nasty mentality, and this offensive line needs that, right? You think about Cedric Van Pran out of Georgia, a guy who could play who I think he's mostly a center, but like a guy that's also aggressive, from the SEC, athletic, can run block, especially in the zone game, but also get out as a puller in the passing game and the screen game, but also lead blocking on like tall sweeps and everything like that. Cooper Beebe is a guy that you think about from Kansas State, guard, who's definitely day 2, 9 times out of 10. But you're talking about a bully, a bouncer of sorts outside the club that's just getting guys out of the way. He's going to help someone's run game. If you want to be physical, you want to add some oomph to your offensive line, Cooper Beebe can do every bit of that. And I really love what he brings, especially on gap scheme runs, to be able to move bodies, get to the second level, create not just alleys, but even some freeways and highways for the running backs to take to hit those lanes and get upfield. And of course to protect Trevor Lawrence so he can feel comfortable to slide and move in the pocket like a veteran, because he's going to be a veteran quarterback, before it's all said and done. You need him to be able to feel comfortable in the pocket. Defensively, you think about T'Vondre Sweat from Texas, 6'3", 6'4", legit 360. Saw him down at the Senior Bowl as well. Big, physical, quick athlete. Reminds me a lot of Jordan Davis, who came out of Georgia, who went to the Philadelphia Eagles. I think he could be an actual more immediate impact as a 3-down defensive lineman and everything. His teammate, Byron Murphy II, another guy, about 6'2", 305, 310, physical, strong at the point of attack, can handle double teams on the interior, has played some 0, some 1, some 3-eye, and even 3 and 4-eye. He can play all along the defensive line. But a guy that I think, just being physical, Rook Orororo, interior defensive line from Clemson, I think it's like 6'2", 6'3", another 305 pounder, a guy that holds up very well at the point of attack. I believe he has over 34-inch arms, strong, physical, just really makes it hard in terms of moving him off the spot. He can handle some double teams as well. And then he also has upside as a pass rusher. And at the end of the day, with Anthony Richardson, with Will Levis, with C.J. Stroud, you want to be able to stop the run and have guys that can stay on the field and get into the backfield. I think those guys can do those things.
No, that's great stuff. Look, it's not glamorous. It's not going to be the most sexy position. I don't think season tickets are going to be sold by drafting interior D linemen or O linemen, but that's what the Jaguars need, man. They need to get their hands dirty this offseason. They were not physical enough at the end of the year. There is no question about that. All right, Damian, the Draft Network is where people can read your great stuff. Tell us about the podcast that you have 5 days a week.
Yes, sir. With the Locked On Podcast Network, me and my colleague from the Draft Network, he's my co-host, Keith Sanchez, former coach from the 2019 LSU national champions with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. We talk NFL draft 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, going through whether it's mock draft Monday. We talk about we briefly scout and talk about these players on air. Have interviews coming through. We had Janagi on right before the Senior Bowl and everything. So definitely you want to get your fix. If you're not much of a reader, you're more of a listener, come tune in to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast Monday through Friday every week.
Absolutely great stuff. Damian Parson, the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, also the Draft Network. Damian, really enjoyed the conversation, man. Thank you as always. We'll do it again post-combine, right around free agency, and we'll see where things stand right here in Jacksonville. Thank you, my friend.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No problem.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
Sports entertainment for the First Coast.
Is this not why you are here?
This is Jack Sports Radio, 1010XL.
It's Mardi Gras all February long at the Blue Crab Crab House. About Creole and Cajun entrees like blackened redfish with creamy shrimp sauce, oysters Bienville, shrimp étouffée, shrimp and sausage gumbo, Creole fried catfish. It goes on and on and on. It is the one, the only Blue Crab Crab House. February, non-stop Mardi Gras. The Blue Crab Crab House, right off of San Jose on Jewington Creek Road.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes. Resolve all your home's plumbing problems today. Fenwick Home Services pros are ready to solve any plumbing emergency that you didn't see coming. From burst pipes to water heater disasters, Fenwick's licensed experts have you covered with same-day, 24/7 solutions. And to help you save on future emergencies, we're offering $50 off any repair. That's right, $50. Schedule your visit online today at fenwickhomeservices.com/radio.
Men, are you suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE? The medical providers at Prime Men's Medical Center offer breakthrough treatments that eliminate problems in the bedroom without pain or surgery. 98% of men see instant results on their first office visit. Listen to a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Prime Men's Medical Center offers breakthrough medical treatments that eliminate ED and PE. Men are even lasting 90 minutes or longer, regardless of age or medical history.
But that's not all. For a limited time only, call Prime Men's Medical Center now, and your initial consultation and first treatment are completely free. You'll see instant results right in the office. You'll even get a gift that enhances your performance in the bedroom. All this, worth hundreds of dollars, is free if you call now. 904-664-8217. 904-664-8217. That's 904-664-8217.
WJXL FM, Jacksonville Beach.
Dave Binion here with my son Ammon, who is the air duct cleaning manager at Zero Res. So Ammon, you may notice a little rattle in my voice and some puffiness in my eyes. That's because allergy season is coming on. Can Zero Res help?
Yes, your health has a lot to do with the air you breathe. A clean and healthy home begins with clean air. At Zero Res, we can help clean the air in your home by cleaning your air ducts, cleaning the coils in your HVAC units, and fogging the system with a powerful antimicrobial that helps kill and control the growth of microorganisms in your air. We also have options for maintaining your clean air with our excellent inline air purifier and UV lights that will help keep your system clean and healthy. At Zero Res, we are more than just air duct cleaners. We're a clean air specialist.
So, what deals do you have this month?
Right now, get $100 off your air duct cleaning, and while we're at it, we'll give you $50 off your dryer vent cleaning.
Zero Res.
Spelled forward or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
CEROREC. Zero Res.
Dave Binion with Zero Res. As the temps outside are warming up, so is Zero Res. Right now, it's the hottest price of the year. 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for only $147, and the 4th room is free. That's right, the 4th room is on me. Google Zero Res and see what people are saying. Zero Res has over 6,000 5-star reviews. Remember, February is the hottest price of the year for Zero Res. 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for $147, and the 4th room is free. Zero Res, spelled forward or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
Zero Res.
Frank Franzi here for Stanley Pools. There's a reason so many of my friends and our listeners have had Stanley Pools build their pools and now maintain their pools, because Stanley Pools truly cares about their customers. Stanley Pools is locally owned and has been serving our community for 35 years. For all of your pool needs, call Stanley Pools at 269-7277. That's Stanley Pools, a family tradition of fine swimming pools. 269-7277, or find them online at stanleypoolsfl.com.
People who suffer from arthritis are getting real pain relief with exciting biologic therapies at QC Kinetics.
The success rate is there, and there's no better way to treat yourself when it comes to dealing with pain.
Meet Tyler Vale, co-founder of QC Kinetics, who says they can't cure arthritis, but they can treat the pain.
If you think of the tide coming in and out on the beach and what it does, it erodes the sand, right? Can't stop the tide, but eventually when the sand or the beach gets bad enough, we backfill that beach with sand so that we get generations of enjoyment with that beach again. And the same thing happens with your knee or your shoulder or your hip or your back. We want to backfill the problems that have happened to this point. I'm not stopping the tide, so I'm not stopping the arthritis, but I want to get generations of enjoyment out of those joints again.
Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation. Learn more about how restorative biologic therapies can get you real and lasting joint pain relief.
Call QC Kinetics, 904-274-5522. That's 904-274-5522. 904-274-5522.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. We have reached the middle portion of February. Believe it or not, we are roughly 1 month away from Selection Sunday. And now that word that we all throw around, bracketology, begins to take over our vocabulary. And one of the main guys when it comes to bracketology is Jerry Palm, CBSSports.com. He's been doing it for years, and Jerry's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Jerry, how you doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
Hey, Jerry, we're good. I know you're very busy this time of year. You're putting out brackets left and right over there on CBSSports.com. Does it get any easier as you do this year after year, or in the middle of February, you just kind of throwing darts at a dartboard at this point?
Well, it's not quite as much dart throwing when you get to this time of year, but sure, January brackets, there's a little bit of that. You haven't even really gotten, well situated in a conference play yet. At least now we're past the halfway point of conference play for most, and so you've got a pretty good idea what these teams are. Obviously, a lot of movement is going to happen in the last month here, but you're starting to get a better feel for what these teams really are.
You know, it's interesting this time of year, and this is new terminology in, I guess, the last 5 years. Quad 1 wins, right, compared to Quad 2 and Quad 3. Right. I think there's even a Quad 4. Jerry, for us that are not as educated on that, what exactly does that mean?
So this was introduced in 2018, the last year of the RPI, and then the net started in 2019. And what they did, I mean, there were always quadrants before, but they never used them. But they basically put your opponents into 4 buckets on their team sheets, and by quality of the opponent. And what changed, the reason the term quadrant came along, is that it used to just be like top 50, top 100, top 200, and that was it. You didn't really need to describe it. Now there's a home and road neutral aspect to it. So the rankings in each bucket are different for home, road, neutral. But it's still the same thing. Quad 1 is considered your toughest games. Quad 2, the next group. Quad 3. And then Quad 4, which is the largest in terms of the rankings, is considered your least difficult opponents. So the committee looks at it gives them an idea of the kinds of teams that you played, and obviously you see the results that matters. So if you've played a lot of Quad 1 games, it makes sense that you've probably played a really strong schedule. Most of the teams in the tournament are going to come from Quad 1 games, those kinds of games, but there'll be Quad 2 teams, even from the at-large pool. Quad 2 teams, or teams that are mostly in Quad 2, will still make the tournament as at-large teams. So it just gives the committee a way to organize a team's schedule and results in a way that gives them good information about those games.
Jerry Palm of CBSSports.com. Jerry, we'll get to Florida in a little bit, but I want to use them as an example right here. For the longest time, we saw the Gators were 0 in Quad 1. That has since changed with wins over Kentucky and Auburn. But they also said that there was no bad losses, that they were undefeated against Quads 2, 3, and 4. What weighs more, a good Quad 1 win or, say, a terrible loss to a Quad 4 team?
It really depends on the rest of the profile, what stands out about it. Like Northwestern has got a pretty good resume and a home loss to Chicago State. And the one of the weaknesses of Northwestern's resume is that they're kind of a home court hero. They're really good on their home floor, not so great away from home, and still really looking for their first win away from home against a team that might be a threat to make the tournament. But when you're a home court hero and you lose at home to Chicago State, which is a quad 4 loss, it looks even worse. So maybe you're not as much of a home court hero as we thought, and you're not winning on the road. So it's things like that. So that game kind of stands out more than maybe some random quad 4 loss for a team that's losing to teams up and down the bracket, or the strength of you've got losses in each of the quadrants. Like Florida Atlantic has got a loss in each quadrant, which is kind of weird. But it tells you that maybe they're not always there. They don't always show up to play. Anyway, so there is no good answer to your question whether a good win means a quad 1 win means more than a quad 4 loss. It's just one piece of a bigger picture, and they're not going to be looking just at one game and overvaluing one game.
One of your latest articles on CBSSports.com, Jerry, I thought you did a terrific job in taking us inside the mind of the committee, and you talk about how you've said this for years. If you ask a committee member, what do you look for in that room come Selection Sunday, it comes down to 4 questions. Who did you play? Where did you play them? Who did you beat? And who beat you? That sounds very simple, but at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, right? It's very simple.
It's a very results-oriented process. So, and what you don't hear there is how much did you beat them by? That's not one of the questions. That's not really important to them yet. You've got metrics, including the net, by the way, the NCAA's metric, that are heavily influenced by margin of victory. So, but the committee's not using the net to pick the teams. They're using the net only to put teams in the team sheets in the correct quadrant. That's the only purpose it serves. So they're not sitting around and saying, well, this team's got a higher net or it's got a higher KenPom ranking, therefore we should take them and not the other. It's the metrics don't have that much influence. And especially the ones that are not results oriented, like those two, when it's basically a results oriented process. So, the metrics are on the team sheets. It means something to somebody. But if all you have is metrics, you don't really have anything.
A couple of more for Jerry Palm, CBSSports.com. Before we dive into some of the teams, including Florida, you mentioned KenPom. That's another saying that we hear this time of year. Jerry, what is that?
It's a metric. It's a way of ranking teams. Now, Ken is specifically trying to predict point spreads. So obviously it's going to be heavily influenced by point spreads because that's what you want to predict. So it's another one that the net actually correlates very closely to KenPom, those rankings. So, if you see teams like Gonzaga, for example, I think is top 25 in the net and KenPom, and but their resumes don't stack up. Gonzaga isn't in my bracket. They're close, but they're not in. Michigan State's in the middle of the bracket after beating Illinois. But if you look at it, find a page somewhere that's got average margin of victory for college basketball teams, those two teams are going to be higher on the list because those metrics are largely based on margin of victory. So so Ken's rankings are similar in that regard. The net's not trying to predict scoring margins, and Ken is, and the net's got a results-oriented component to it, but it's primarily margin of victory.
Florida was on the outside looking in for a large portion of this year. Then all of a sudden they go to Rupp Arena, they beat Kentucky. They lose to A&M, but then they turn right back around and knock off Auburn. So now we talk about those quad 1 wins, 2 quad 1 wins for Todd Golden in Florida. And I know in your rankings, Jerry, in your bracketology, Florida now comfortably in as an 8 seed.
Yeah, that speaks not just about Florida, but the teams competing with them for spots in the bracket are more highly flawed than Florida is. And, I mean, you mentioned earlier, Florida doesn't have a bad loss. All 7 of their losses are against quad 1 teams. And most of them, well, I think all of them are currently in my bracket. Virginia is relatively new to the bracket, but these are all, they've lost to good teams. It's been home and it's been away, but it's, they don't have the eyesore loss sticking out there that really drags you down. And that level of consistency is something that's actually appealing to the committee. They know what they're going to get from Florida. They're going to show up to play. It's going to take a good team to beat them. That's that kind of a thing. By the way, one of their quad 2 wins, Mississippi State, is also in the bracket as an at-large team. So that's an example of a team. It's a quad 2 game because they played them at home, but that's why, sometimes quad 2 teams end up in the bracket as well.
16-7, 6-4 in the SEC. Is there a magic number? I mean, people around here say 20. If Florida gets to 20, they're almost a shoe-in to get in. Would you agree with that?
I don't ever make predictions like that because it depends on how you get to 20. If you just beat LSU and Vanderbilt and Mizzou and you take, 4 more losses to tournament teams, you're probably in a little trouble. You haven't really helped yourself. You're still going to have 2, maybe 3 wins over tournament teams, but now you've got 4 more losses. That gets to be pretty ugly. So it really does matter, who you beat to get to whatever magic number you think it is. But the other thing you're kind of ignoring here is the conference tournament. That's another loss. If you don't win it, if you're not the automatic qualifier, that's another loss. And who did you play in the tournament before you lost? And that kind of thing matters. The conference tournament matters. They don't overvalue it, but they're neutral site games. So that's something potentially helpful, but also, you can get quality wins or bad losses there too. And if you're right on the cut line, that can be meaningful to you.
Jerry Palm, CBSSports.com. Jerry, the rest of the Southeastern Conference, I'm not sure if it's the best conference in college basketball, but I think it's in the conversation. It's a good year in the SEC. I mean, what are we thinking? 7, maybe 8 teams that get in?
Well, my current bracket has 9.
Wow.
It might not be a sustainable number. I mean, there's a month to go, and teams are playing each other, right? So you would think at some point, these guys are beating each other up a little bit. Maybe one falls off. Somebody finishes poorly, something like that. But I would say 9 is a maximum, but probably in the 7 to 9 range. And there are definitely teams we know that are good enough to compete for a national championship in the SEC this year, Tennessee most notably. So we'll find out, but I would say the 7 to 9 range in terms of teams actually getting in.
As it stands right now, like you said, a month out, who are your 4 number 1 seeds?
Purdue, Connecticut, Houston, and Arizona. The 4th one has been a revolving door the last couple of weeks. I don't think I've had 2 brackets in a row for the same team in the number 4 spot. But it's right now Arizona was Tennessee before. Carolina's been in and out of that spot. So yeah, but Purdue, Connecticut, Houston are really solid. Purdue is a very solid number 1. I mean, they're 1, 2, 3 are really, I don't say set in stone, but for right now, there's a clear delineation: Purdue, UConn, Houston, and then there's a gap to the rest of college basketball.
Final moments, Jerry Palm, CBSSports.com. Jerry, as we begin to wrap up, is this going to be a wide-open tournament? I mean, is there a handful of teams that you think could win it, or is this thing going to be open to a couple dozen maybe?
Well, I don't know about a couple dozen, but I always feel like, I mean, last year was an aberration. It was a weird tournament from the beginning to the end. But UConn won, and that they were a really good team. They were fabulous for the first 2 months or so, and then they had a rough schedule to start a Big East play, and then they got things going again. And we shouldn't be surprised that even though they were 4 seed, that they were good enough to win. But for the most part, we've got 8 to 10 teams that are good enough to string 6 in a row together against this group. But all it takes is somebody not in that group to get hot, and they can be right there too.
You've been doing bracketology for college basketball for years. Are you going to be the bracketologist when it comes to college football this upcoming season?
I have been. I've been doing that as well. I've been doing football too.
Well,
now it was only a 14 bracket.
Yeah, about to say a lot easier with 4.
Now it's going to be 12. I actually don't know that it's going to be that much harder, really. 4 to 12. 4 might have been harder because you're leaving out really good teams there. When you get down to 12, I think that it'll be an easier time trying to figure out who at least 11, the top 11 are. Then you're going to have an automatic qualifier from the outside the major conferences that, could get up in that level sometime, but most often than not will be outside that top 11.
Jerry, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville, man, CBSSports.com, what you have coming out on the website in the coming days and weeks.
Yeah, well, the next thing that's noteworthy is the NCAA is going to have their bracket reveal show on Saturday on CBS. I think it's at noon. And where the NCAA gives us their top 16 at the time as of Saturday morning. So that's always interesting to get a look at what's going on in the minds of the committee, a snapshot in February, a month out from Selection Sunday. I'll be part of that show. And then I have brackets Mondays and Fridays until we get closer to the end when they become daily.
He's one of the best in the business. Jerry Palm, CBSSports.com. Jerry, know you're busy. Thank you for the time. We'll do it again soon.
All right, thanks.
1010XL takes you behind the microphone.
Let's don't get emotional about it.
No!
Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser. The Drill.
You're a big baby. Barely raised my voice.
I should call your mother.
Mornings on 1010XL.
Rick Ballou for Carlson Dental. You know, I've been telling you this for quite some time because it's true. I hate going to the dentist, or at least I used to hate going to the dentist. I had total anxiety, and then I tried sedation. Light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation as well for cavities and root canals. Folks, it's an incredible experience. So don't be nervous. Don't be scared. Go to carlsondentalgroup.com. That's carlsondentalgroup.com for all of your dental needs.
Bueller Air Conditioning presents
Are You Cool?
Today's lucky contestant, a coffee filter repairman from Jacksonville Beach. Meet Dave Carvelas.
Great to be here, Pat.
No time for chit-chat, Dave. Here's your question. Your AC has been acting up. Do you A, ignore it and hope it gets better on its own? 2, take off all your clothes when you watch TV and hope that does the trick? Or C, call Bueller Air Conditioning?
Oh, jeez. I do like to sit around with no pants on.
5 seconds, Dave.
I'll say C. Call Bueller.
That's right, Dave. A quick call to Bueller will have our expert AC technicians at your door, usually the same day, to make sure that you are cool.
Can I still watch the game with no pants on?
It's America, Dave. Knock yourself out.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Time now for a medical recap. A health and wellness tip from Jaguars head team physician Dr. Kevin Kaplan.
Regular strength training is key to maintaining muscle mass. Like muscle building, you need to stress the muscle to maintain strength. This means lifting enough weight and doing enough reps to the point where it's too hard to do one more. Yoga and Pilates are also lower impact muscle building workouts that help maintain lean body mass and improve flexibility. Let's get moving, Jacksonville.
The Florida Forum welcomes 4-star Admiral James Stavridis, February 26th. Funds raised for a Kids Care Mobile ICU, a neonatal and pediatric critical care transport vehicle. Kids Care vehicles and helicopters safely transfer more than 2,200 infants and children a year to Wolfson Children's Hospital. To get your tickets, call 202-2886, 202-2886, or thefloridaforum.com. Thefloridaforum.com.
Everything you need to know about your Jacksonville Jaguars. Jaguars Today with Mike Dempsey and Fat Tony.
Jaguars Today from the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute studios.
Every weekday from 10 to noon on 1010XL.
Hi, everybody. Mike Dempsey here for Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Look, it's not often we hear about a company, a weight loss company at that, offering a 1-week trial. Well, Awaken 180 isn't just any company. They feel so strongly in their program that if you aren't 100% satisfied with your results in the first week, you can get a full refund. I'll repeat that a different way. Awaken 180 works. They know it. I know it. Over 21,000 others do too. And Paige and her coaches want to prove it to you. If the results aren't what you expected in your first week, you can stop and get 100% of your money back. Where's the risk? What's the catch? There is none, and it's nothing new. This is the Awaken 180 policy because they know you'll succeed. You know my results. I dropped 5 pounds every week with Awaken 180, and it was easy. Just over a month in total, and all 25 pounds were gone. Matt Hayes seeing the same results. Awaken 180 is no risk, but every reward. Reserve your at-home consultation today at awaken180weightloss.com or call 844-346-1800.
Jeff Prosser here. Need that garage floor redone? Pool deck? Patio?
Well, I did my homework and found out there's only one company offering a lifetime warranty, Jack's Concrete Coating. How do they do it? They're the certified Pin-Tech dealer for North Florida, so they are the only company offering pure polyurea. Trust me, I can speak firsthand to their work, and it is awesome. Go to jacksconcretecoatings.com or call 904-862-2000.
Ever wonder how you can transform your living spaces into captivating works of art? At First Coast Lighting and Fans, they offer a huge selection of high-quality products to match your desire for elegance, quality, and uniqueness. Visit their showroom on Phillips Highway at the Avenues and step into a world of quality without compromise. Discover the difference that locally owned expertise makes and let them help you experience the transformation from average to extraordinary. At First Coast Lighting and Fans.
Pickett here. When it comes to your eye health, you want to make the winning move. That's where Bow 9 Associates comes in. February, it's the month of love. And what better way to show some love by than taking care of your family's vision? Bow 9 isn't just about seeing clearly. They're about making sure your eye game is in its prime. And folks, they got not one, not two, but 3 convenient locations across town. I call that home court advantage. So call Bow 9 Associates and schedule your winning eye exam. Bow 9 Associates, keeping the First Coast focused.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. It is a Wednesday evening, and we are glad you are with us. The Super Bowl in the rearview mirror. That means the NFL offseason now officially begins, and boy, it'll get here quick. Franchise tags can be handed out next week. The Combine in Indianapolis is only 2 weeks away, and we are 26 days away from NFL free agency. With all that, let me go to my friend Leon Searcy, former Pro Bowl offensive tackle for the Jacksonville Jaguars. You hear him every day on Primetime. You get him weekly here on Hacker After Dark. Leon, how you doing, man?
I'm good, bro.
Leon, there's a lot to get into with you. A lot's transpired since the last time you and I talked, but a final thought from both of us on the Super Bowl. Leon, you know how hard it is to get there. You know how hard it is to win in the NFL. You played in the league for 11 years. Do you marvel at what Kansas City's been able to do over the last half decade?
I have, Hack. I mean, you're witnessing greatness. I mean, a lot of people you've got to take a fond appreciation for what Kansas City has done over the last half decade or the last 6 seasons. You're talking about 6 straight AFC championships. You're talking about Patrick Mahomes winning 3 out of the last 5 Super Bowls. And, it's officially a dynasty. I like to equate dynasties when they went back-to-back. I wasn't quite ready to give them that dynasty keynote until they won back-to-back, and they did it. They did it this past Sunday. They did it in Patrick Mahomes fashion. Patrick Mahomes late in the game with him in overtime, wanted the football, took control of the game, absolutely dismantled the 49ers defense that looked gassed and looked confused and out of place a lot of the times, especially down the stretch. So that was unfortunate that 49ers defense in that overtime bid didn't play its best football. But, they didn't play their best football because Patrick Mahomes made them look their unbest. So, yeah, that Kansas City Chiefs team, that what they're doing right now is special, especially in this day and age where, individuals wanting to get paid and salary caps and free agencies and guys moving and maneuvering into different places. So, yeah, what they're doing is special. They are definitely a dynasty.
Leon, you played in a day and time where you competed against John Elway and the Broncos, Dan Marino and the Miami Dolphins, Jim Kelly, obviously, right, and the Buffalo Bills. I mean, some Hall of Famers, some greats of the greats, Troy Aikman and the Dallas Cowboys. And yet you look at Mahomes, and he might already be better than all those guys. I mean, maybe only second to Tom Brady or maybe third, I guess, to Montana, whichever debate you want to have. What makes 28-year-old Patrick Mahomes as good as he is?
Well, Hack, in my era, I have played against some dominant teams in my era that I can equate that were dynasties in their own right. The Dallas Cowboys in the 90s, I played against those teams. I played against the Elway teams that went back-to-back and won Super Bowls. But I kind of look at it like this, Hack. I remember when I had my little son, I used to take him to the playground. He used to play with the kids, and then when he would come back mad and upset, I said, "Who did it?" And he said, "Him there." Right now, Patrick Mahomes is him there. Okay, he's that guy. He is that guy. I have not seen anybody quite like him in a very, very long time. Listen, when I used to play, there's only one guy I used to get up out of my seat and be concerned that he could come back and win a game against you. Because John Elway used to be a guy that I didn't care how many points we were up. If you gave him the ball with 2 minutes to go, there was a likelihood that you were going to lose the game or you're going to come close to losing the game. And Patrick Mahomes, in my opinion, runs circles around John Elway, in my opinion, as far as his mystique, as far as his accountability, as far as his clutch gene, as far as his magic in his hands, you know, the magician, the wand, the cape, the rabbit in the hat, all that. He's that guy. So it's been a very long time since I've been able to say that him there is something very special.
Yeah, there's no question about it. It was unfortunate that he did not get in. Hopefully he'll get in later on down the road. Leon, obviously a lot of questions with the Jaguars coming into this offseason. They begin next week with the franchise tag. They can be handed out from February 20th to March the 5th. Is your expectation that Josh Allen will get the franchise tag here in Jacksonville?
Yeah, more than likely. I think that, I don't like the franchise tag because essentially, it gives the organization more time to do a contract which they knew they had time to do way before. And that may not sound as eloquently spoken as it should be, but I just feel that the player is put at bay. Because when the player doesn't sign the contract before the start of the season, he's risking losing money by playing out the season. And then when he goes and has the kind of season that Josh Allen has, he should be rewarded for going out and playing that season that he played. But then the organization knows they have the leverage because they could put a tag on him, and then they could take their time and evaluate what kind of money they want to give them when they had all season to make that determination.
Couple of more for former Jaguar Pro Bowl offensive tackle Leon Searcy. Leon, I love Josh Allen. Obviously, he had an incredible year. But you look at the previous 3 years, 2020, 2021, and 2022, if we're just talking strictly about quarterback sacks, he had 17.5 those 3 years combined. He had 17.5 in 2023. I mean, do you believe Josh Allen warrants top 5 edge rusher money, $25, $26, even $27 million a year?
Well, Hackey really says, what I think doesn't matter is what the market dictates, to be quite honest with you. I mean, and you're right. I'm concerned at the fact that he only had double-digit sacks twice in his career, his rookie year and last year. The rest of all those other seasons, I used to call him the disappearing act because you didn't see him, you didn't hear from him at all. Midway or halfway or the end of the season. But that is to be, excluded because right now all that matters right now is the here and now. The here and now says that a 17.5 sacks gets you the market value of what the other guys are worth, and should the organization be concerned that if you give him this money that he may not live up to the billing for the rest of the contract? Absolutely, he should be, because there's always a red flag when a guy, shows up for his, his contract season and balls out. Then you're concerned at how he's going to play moving forward. A la Jamal. What was the right tackle's name? Jawan Taylor. Jawan Taylor was mediocre the mass majority of his career, maybe outside of his rookie year. Then he runs into his last year of his contract and he balls out and he goes out and he gets an extension with the Kansas City Chiefs, and right now he's sitting on 2 Super Bowl rings. So, and he's led the NFL in penalties over the last 2 years with the Chiefs. So I guess that doesn't matter as long as you got Patrick Mahomes back there. You're going to win Super Bowls. But as far as Josh Allen goes, yeah, you should be concerned with the organization. But he bet on himself and he won, and he wants to get paid, and I don't blame him.
You know, I want to get to Calvin Ridley in a moment. And again, we're not going to do this every week with you. This will probably be our last, weekly session until next football season. But certainly we'll have you on free agency when the dust settles. And Calvin Ridley and Ezra Cleveland are probably the next two guys after Josh Allen, Leon, that the Jaguars got to figure out pretty quick what they're doing. Let's go to your position, the offensive line. Did you see enough from Ezra Cleveland to give him pretty decent money to be this team's left guard moving forward?
Not really. I mean, I saw a couple of games where he played in there. Saw at left guard, left tackle. I mean, I just got a sample size of, I wish I could have had him the mass majority of the season so I can give a clear, a pretty clear-cut evaluation on whether we should keep him or not. But he seems to be, with the games that he was in, he was pretty solid. He was pretty solid when he had to play left tackle. He was pretty solid when he played left guard. Now, does that equate to him getting a huge deal? I don't think so. But, I mean, what are your options? I mean, you've got to do something to fix that interior of that offensive line. I mean, it was shaky at best. No, shaky's too good for that. It was bad.
Yeah.
All right. Interior, yeah. They couldn't run the ball. They couldn't protect the passer. Shaky would be an upgrade considering how that interior of the offensive line played last year. Yeah, you're probably going to move on from Ford. Now, you're probably going to ask Sheriff to take a pay cut. Probably won't. He probably leave and go into free agency. So you've got to do some rearranging of that interior of the offensive line. And if you're Trevor Lawrence, you should let him know, hey, listen, a lot of my injuries came about, a lot of pressures that came up the middle. I think I'm pretty solid on the interior. I think that Walker Little more than likely will be the left tackle, Anton Harrison to be the Walker Little to be the left, Anton to be the right. But if you fix that interior of the offensive line, I mean, that's going to be a nice security blanket for Trevor moving forward.
Leon, as we wrap up, Calvin Ridley, how vital is he to be back here in Jacksonville?
Well, Calvin had a solid year for someone who's been away from football for 2 years. I was expecting a little bit more out of him, I mean, he had over 1,000 yards. He had 8 touchdowns. I'm not sure how many catches. He had, 82 catches, 78 catches, something like that, somewhere in that range. But I think Calvin Ridley is a good number 2. I don't think he's a number 1. And I know he's going to be looking for number 1 money, but you got to also remember we paid Christian Kirk like a number 1, and I'm not sure he is one of that. I think he's a good number 2 as well. So I'm pretty sure his age is going to be looking at Christian. Now, we overpaid for Christian Kirk because we needed it. The talent pool in our locker room at that particular time was low. So when we brought Christian Kirk in, he definitely upgraded our wide receiver room, and he got a boatload of money. So I know that Calvin Ridley is going to be looking at Christian Kirk's contract and be saying, I need to be somewhere in that neighborhood. And I'm not sure at this particular time, based upon the efforts that he played in that game, he played throughout the season, and it merits that kind of contract. But I say that, but then a couple of years ago, we gave Christian Kirk a massive deal to come here in Jacksonville. So they're going to have to make a determination whether they're going to sign him to a big deal like that or let him move on into free agency.
I think clearly this offseason is going to be much more active for the Jaguars than last offseason was with player movement. There is no doubt about that. Leon, leave us with this. There's a lot of guys that might be asked to take pay cuts or might be asked to rework their contract to free up cap room. How awkward are those conversations? Because I'm sure they're happening right now.
Well, I mean, they're awkward if you allow them to be awkward. I mean, I wasn't asked to take pay cuts when I was with Jacksonville, but I was asked to restructure my deal. And when you restructure your deal, whatever your deal is, you're basically going to get a lump sum of money to reduce your salary. So let's say if you get if your salary is $15 million, the team says, okay, listen, we want to restructure your deal and bring your cap number, your salary number down to $5 million in a season, but then we're going to give you $5 million now and then give you $5 million at the beginning of the season. It's still $10 million in your pocket, even though your salary is reduced to $5 million. So, I mean, pay cut and take a pay cut or take a restructure is a big difference. So if these guys are having to take pay cuts, more than likely they'll probably move on before they do something like that.
You get Leon Searcy every day on Prime Time. You've gotten him weekly here on Hacker After Dark, basically since the middle part of August. Leon, we certainly appreciate it, man. We'll give you a couple of weeks off, but let's do it again around free agency. We'll see what the Jaguars have done with the roster at that point. Appreciate you as always, bud.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate it.
This is the place Jags fans turn to every day for news, analysis, and inside stuff. 1010XL, home of the Jaguars.
Here's Linda Beaver.
Beaver Toyota and Beaver Chevrolet love our community. That's right, we spread the love by giving back, and every year we give hundreds of thousands of dollars to our local community. Plus, we give all our customers lots of love, too. Every new vehicle purchase comes with a 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty, and every certified pre-owned vehicle comes with a 7-year, 100,000-mile loving warranty. Plus, we give the most loving for your trade. Help us to continue to spread the love and head to Beaver Toyota in St. Augustine. Or Beaver Chevrolet in Jacksonville. We're here to wow you and give back.
A customer called Duck Rooter saying they had some nasty stuff backing up inside their home. So we went with our camera to look inside their plumbing lines. And sure enough, tree roots in the sewer line. Need to see what's blocking your lines? Call our team to locate the issue and provide solutions to resolve it. 904-862-6769. Visit duckduckrooter.com. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jags. Duck Rooter, your fully insured and certified plumbing contractor, residential and commercial.
Skilled trade jobs are booming, so begin your high-pay, high-demand career today through the Northeast Florida Builders Association. Their apprenticeship program provides paid training in some of the most highly sought-after skilled trades. Get paid while you train. Full-time in carpentry, electrical, HVAC, or plumbing. Plus, earn a 10% raise every year, and the classes are 100% tuition-free. Start your new career today and apply before June 10th at NEFBAapprenticeship.org.
Give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. Teach a man to fish. And he's listening to the Nimnicht Outdoor Show with
tips and stories.
Presented by Duck Rooter Plumbing and Septic Services.
Every Saturday morning, 7 to 10.
On 1010XL.
Score big with your sweetheart with specials at Southern Steer Butcher. Valentine's Day special listed on our website. Pre-order now for Valentine's Day. SouthernSteerButcher.com.
For tasty tips and juicy breasts, choose Southern Steer Butcher.
Lower mortgage rates are here, and smart homeowners are wiping out all their credit card debt with help from Loan Pronto. Hey, Prosser here. Right now, Loan Pronto has a cash-out refinance rate of just 5.49%. You heard me. That's a huge drop. So you can get refinanced now, get cash out of your home's equity to wipe out all those credit cards and other high-interest loans. You can save hundreds every month with lower payments. Or, if you still have a mortgage rate in the threes, you can use Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit. Just get the cash you need and leave your primary mortgage intact. Loan Pronto can get you $50, $75, $100, even $200,000 in just a matter of days. Bottom line, Loan Pronto's got several options to help you erase debt and take control of your finances. Call today, and you can even skip your next 2 mortgage payments. Call Loan Pronto now at 904-999-1508, 904-999-1508, or loanpronto.com, 999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, 5.49%, has 6.39 APR, subject to lender approval.
Smoke and carbon monoxide detectors are 2 of the best life-saving investments for the safety of your family. Mr. Sparky will install the best unit for your home.
Call 888-8-SPARKY.
Your on-time electrician, Mr. Sparky of the First Coast.
February is Cancer Prevention Month, and Ackerman Cancer Center will help you take charge of your well-being. Their new location at World Golf Village off I-95 now provides screenings for prostate, bladder, and colorectal cancers. Visit AckermanCancerCenter.com.
Hey, this is David here with Royal Pest Services. Do you have that room in the house that is just too cold in the winter and just too hot in the summer? To learn about our pest-rated insulation, visit RoyalPestServices.com or call 886-2847.
New and pre-owned firearms are always in stock at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach. Want a new sidearm or rifle? Brands like Kimbar, Smith & Wesson, Sig Sauer, and Beretta. No lines, no hassle. Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacks Beach.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you. For lost or broken keys or nearly any make and model of vehicle, call 722-1111 for Instant Keys locksmith service.
This is Hayes Carlion for QC Kinetics. Are you sick and tired of achy joints? Look, you need to call QC Kinetics today. They've got 2 great locations, Mandarin and Ponte Vedra Beach. Give them a call for a free consultation at 904-274-5522. That's 904-274-5522. Look, the state of healthcare is always changing. It's evolving, and old ideas like steroids and surgery, they're no longer your only options. Regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics is transforming lives with innovative, non-surgical, drug-free treatments that deliver lasting results. Knee pain, back pain, shoulder pain, arthritis, injury. Don't let this pain keep you from living your best life. QC Kinetics advanced state-of-the-art treatments harness and direct your body's natural ability to restore and repair damaged joint tissue. Give them a call today, QC Kinetics, 904-274-5522.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, today's takeaways. Brought to you by Key Buick GMC, where our family dealership has been helping families buy vehicles for over 50 years.
And thank you to Leon Searcy, former Pro Bowl offensive tackle for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Of course, you get Leon every day on Prime Time and weekly here on Hacker After Dark. And we certainly appreciate my buddy Leon hanging out with us every week, really, since the middle of August. We'll have Leon on certainly around free agency and the draft and OTAs. It won't be every week again till probably August when we fire it back up for the 2024 season, but he certainly won't be far away. And, of course, you can hear him every day on XL Prime Time. Well, that'll just about do it. It has been a very busy Wednesday night edition here of Hacker After Dark on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. We have a lot of people to thank. Again, Leon Searcy joining us as he always does every week here on Hacker After Dark. Thank you to Jerry Palm. This time of year, one of the terms you hear when it comes to college basketball is bracketology, and Jerry Palm is the bracketologist for CBSSports.com. Really appreciate Jerry coming on to give his insight on the committee, what they're looking for. We certainly touched upon Florida, other teams on the bubble as well. So thank you to Jerry Palm, resident bracketologist of CBSSports.com. Thank you to Damian Parson, the Draft Network. It is that time of year as we're going to start focusing a lot on the NFL Draft. Damian Parson of the Draft Network, appreciate him taking time out for us this evening. And back in hour number 1, Dave Kluge of Football Guys. Fantasy football, they're also analytics. They do a lot of stuff at Football Guys. Really enjoyed the conversation with Dave about the Jaguars. He is still very high on Trevor Lawrence. I know there's some questions that some of you have about Trevor here locally, but a guy like Dave, who does this for a living at Football Guys, still believes Trevor Lawrence is absolutely the guy, and it was interesting to get his perspective here on Hacker After Dark. We'll be back tomorrow night on a Thursday, and we will do it all over again beginning